How do you deal with members that do not trust and are not expressing truly?
That's a fantastic question. And I've actually created for IGD a whole webcast on trust, because I think it is fundamental to everything that I've said today. So for those of you that can spare, I think it's about 18 minutes, and that's going to be released, I think, next week. I talk about 3 key elements around trust, because I think trust right now is fundamental, and especially some of you might be working physically in your place of work, some of you might be working at home, but I'm definitely seeing trust as it's the make or break for teams moving together actively through change or not. So I think rather than spouting too much now, I'd say please have a look at that webcast, and also I've created a handout for you that gives you some ideas of practical tools and techniques that you can do to support your team to build more trust. But I definitely, it's a great question, and I do think it's key to all of this. I will mention it a little bit in the webinar that I do on the 24th of June as well. So thank you.
Okay, I hope that answered that question for you. Another question's come through here. We were undergoing a huge change project as we started this year. Now we are faced with even more. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, I think that is incredibly common, and I think people are just making progress on a significant project, and then everything kicks off and you end up with 50 million projects. And I think it's that whole discipline of standing back as a team and really being honest with yourselves about what are the genuine big projects that we need to focus on. So the graph that I showed you with the high impact, it's being really honest about what are the things that are going to have most impact that we're doing, because I think prioritization is key. There's a whole webinar on the Full Potential website that talks a lot in detail about the importance of prioritization and how teams can prioritize. But because there may well be many different projects all going off simultaneously as a team, it's having that ability. You need the trust to start with, but having that ability to say which are the quick wins that we can do. So there could be some quick tick box things that as a team you do to be moving forward and being seen by the businesses moving forward. And then there's those bigger, longer term projects that need more time and effort that you then need to look at who does what on those. And I think a big watch out is around the more you've got simultaneous projects going on is role creep, and being really clear in a team on who does what. Because certainly, especially those teams where you've got some people working from home or working remotely, what I'm noticing with the teams I've been working in is people can end up not meaning to, but treading on each other's toes and actually doing a similar job and not realizing that one of their team members has done it, or having some gaps because other people think someone else is doing it. So this whole ability of agreeing your priorities collectively as a team, but also being really ultra clear on who's doing what and where the boundaries are and how you hold each other accountable. And these regular check-ins are really important. I think a lot of you probably have got into the groove now of what works for you as a team, but how frequently are you meeting up? I know some people are zoomed out or they're using Microsoft Teams all the time, but you know, think about what works for you, and is it a case sometimes of picking up the phone to a few key team members to get everybody on board with what you're doing, or do you need a one-to-one with somebody, or is it a one-to-many, and how do you do that? Because I think communicating what you're focusing on is also really important. But also I think a big thing for many teams is having to let go of some of the things, in that we are, as much as we might want to be superhuman, there is a lot of stress and challenge around right now, and it's letting go of some of those things. So I have a mantra: do it, delegate it, or dump it. And agree as a team, what are the things that we're doing and prioritizing and being proactive with? What can we delegate maybe to another team member or to someone outside of the team? And what can we dump? What do we just say no to? Because I do think this is a time to be ruthless, because otherwise we'll drive ourselves mad, make ourselves busy fools, and we'll make ourselves ill. And I think right now, building our resilience and building our immune systems means we can't afford to be doing too many things. That was quite a long answer, Robin, but I hope that helps.
No, not a problem at all. More questions are coming through. How do you deal with an individual that doesn't see why they should change? I think it's everyone else. Always some.
Yeah, and I think again that's quite common, and there's a lot around communication skills. So I teach teams a lot, and I think right now increasingly as we move up the curve, being able to coach and have what I call vital conversations is critical. So as much as we need the positivity to keep all the team moving forward, we've also got to have the bravery to have challenging conversations. And with team members who aren't taking responsibility for their part in a change, it's having that ability to have some honest conversations, speaking the truth, but being really clear and supporting people. And the second webinar, Robin, I am going to talk a lot more about communication, a little bit on coaching, and I'll share the vital communication model and how to have conversations, to be honest with people in a positive way, but I do think it's time to be brave, and we do have to challenge team members who aren't willing to step up and pull their weight with everyone else, because we're all so busy now that we do need to pull together as teams, because together we're stronger.
Great. I think that covers that question. So for that person, anybody else having the same problems with their team, do remember to sign up for the webinar on the 24th. Let's go through let's do one more question. Okay, here we go. Oh, and by the way, the previous question, that one, they said that was immensely helpful. So it's always good. How do you deal with a pacing challenge with different people who are very different in terms of their output? How do you ensure you don't alienate any team members?
Yeah, this is a great question. And pacing is definitely big on the agenda right now. Now, for some of you, you might have done personality profiling in your team. That can definitely help people understand different preferences. And I feel like I'm a bit of a stuck record, but I am going to say I'm going to talk a little bit more about this on the next webinar. But understanding how people are likely to behave and what their preferences are in terms of pacing can help engender greater understanding, because you will have some team members who appear to be working quite slowly, and their pace could seem to be a little bit tortoise-like and very slow. Doesn't necessarily mean that it takes them longer to get to the output. It's just the way they approach it might be different. And equally, you could have team members who are sort of what we would call fiery red, but be brief, be bright, be gone. They could be quite extrovert preference, and really start wanting to drive things quickly. And I think a key around the pacing is understanding your preferences and what works for you, but then also being able to flex your style and being able to recognize other people and then meet them where they are, because we aren't all the same. And I think the benefit of a team is about inclusivity, but it helps if you understand where different people are coming from. So if you haven't done a personality profile, it doesn't matter, but you'll get a sense of which people on your team are more extroverted and thinking, and they're quite driven and they're quite pushy. They might look from the outside like they're achieving a lot and they have a very fast pace. Underneath, it might not be all that it seems. So there is a little bit of a watch out there, because some people who are introvert preference and they get their energy from inside and they're more reflective and they use more of the back part of their brain, they can be seen by other people on the team as being a bit slower, but they're not necessarily. It's just that they need that time to integrate the information, to think about it, to then make a decision that might catapult over and above the other team member. So I would see the key on this is understanding your style, but then also being able to start to recognize somebody else's, and then flexing, because you wouldn't want everyone on the team to have exactly the same style and to work at exactly the same pace. It feels like it would be good, but the benefit of differences and the benefit of having a really inclusive and differentiated team will actually make the team stronger.